Welcome, everybody. You're tuning into the Two Bean Podcast. I'm your host, Samuel Jimenez,
And Randy Salvaretti.
and this is our first episode on technology.
That whether is technology is beneficial for us or
Is it leading us to our downfall?
and well, to start off, our first physical evidence and argument we're gonna have today is if technology can be efficient or productivity that will benefit for us, like using our phone, work, assignments, any type you could think of. In my first evidence, I'm thinking saying the person is called herself Leishern, whatever last name. I'm not gonna pronounce it all right. My bad. Sorry if you're watching this. Is you tend to go to work like your normal job that could benefit like so many tasks on hand, too many to write down. But when you use technology like phones or a computer, it's so much easier. You finish in minutes. Then it won't take days or months at the time. But it started to help out a lot. But the way I see it, it's so useful that it helps so many people like children and teenagers can benefit their schoolwork so quickly that you don't need rely on books, newspaper, or literature, or anyone. Internet is there for everything for everyone. But my companion here say otherwise.
Yeah. With the advancement of technology and phones and everything, yeah, people are using technology to get stuff done. You could say quicker, little quicker than writing. But are they actually using it for this? Because many studies show that people, um, more specifically, 93% of people between the ages of 18 through 29 say that they use technology for entertainment mostly. And in the research, exploring the dynamics of mobile app addiction, the interplay of communication, addictive behaviors, flow, perceived enjoyment, and habit by Hyun Jo and Yu Mi Bak in November 20 in 2023, they state that the Apple market alone has registered 1.96 million apps, and video games make up the largest majority of those apps, followed closely by media, entertainment, and social media. So that leads to the question: are people actually using technology to be more productive, or are they just using it as a distraction?
Sometimes they use our distraction. Yes, it's agreeable that they're using, but also it relax their mind and their calm stress. Sure, productivity is useful and do other such means of getting done quickly than usual than most people want to say, but it does get the efficiency so quickly. Provide many uses of goods throughout the whole states, like the United States for a period of time. What like New York, it finished supply and demand through the entire state alone. And the way I see it is, and maybe slowing the production is focusing, like you said, gaming or something like otherwise. But to productivity for beneficial, it's really useful lately, and they're doing so well.
Um, I myself, I'm sure many other people, they find themselves on their phone a lot throughout the day. Um, More specifically, an average of 4.2 hours a day are spent looking at your cell phone. And most of this time is just scrolling through social media, games, and all that. It takes away from other things you could be doing in the real world, going out, spending time with family, loved ones, reading books.
I'm gonna say an argument like this is sure it's basically slow and they just look at their phone all day. It's nothing productive. But there's some people who use their phone just to look at information, their basic necessities, and they benefit from any type of things.
Yeah,
But in other hands, they use for contact family members or get instruction from the professor or teachers or getting some advice from friends. They use those information in social media to benefit themselves also, so they won't make mistakes in the future. They don't have to look it up book by book in libraries or in college wise. It's like a straightforward, fast way to get this done quickly and be productive in life, so they don't have to worry about it in the future anytime soon.
yeah, but inevitably, people are looking for um, gratification. And cell phones and technology, while being on it for productivity, um, with what I said, people use it for enjoyment. They're looking for this dopamine you receive from being on your phone. It's a sort of instant gratification that, let's say you're looking for something, you could instantly find it. A game, you could instantly be enjoyed, which in the real world, you don't just find instant gratification like that. You actually have to work towards things. But with technology, it eases this method of achieving the gratification. So that leads us to what they call a compulsion loop, which is the same loop that drugs such as nicotine and cocaine cause. It's an addictive cycle that you're just looking for ways to grab this dopamine. And these
Which
cell phones and technology, they're providing that same sort of addictive behavior and enabling people.
which that will lead to my second evidence right now is the person I'm going to talk to is Raya Sheen. She's basically at the medical field of technology and Medicare and health care and institutes. She provided an insight that it helps so many people with technology. It benefits from Medicare that's being impossible for and diagnosing people for certain conditions. Sure, it's understandable they it's extremely addicting to look in your phone 24/7, but it does give us an insight what's going on lately in their livelihoods. And using those certain technologies for medicals reasons, it tells you what do you need, what is exact need for pills, antibiotics, bedfield, all of this. It provides a useful tool and could help a lot of lives.
Yeah, it may help with health concerns, finding more information and all that, but it's also detrimental to our health. A big, a big cause of myopia in people, like you and I, we both wear glasses,
True.
is the lack of outdoor exposure and the near working distance. Like, we're students. We grew up with technology emerging. We had phones at our disposal, computers. So this close working space with our phone screens right there, computers right there, this affects our eyes. Back in the 1970s, when phones and technology weren't as prevalent, um, only a quarter of the population about was suffering from myopia. Nowadays, almost half the population worldwide is suffering from myopia. And in East Asia, um, college students, university students in highly urbanized areas, um, the percentage of myopia amongst them is almost 80%. And this really goes to show that where more technology is being seen used to work, when it takes up most of our hours in the day, that leads to higher chances of developing myopia. So it's really affecting our health. This can be seen in the impact of computer use on myopia development in children. The Generation R study by Claire A. Anthoven et al., published August 30th, 2019.
Which I can understand the point of view would say is a bad thing for our children and our family and whatnot, for our grandmother and our fathers and our grandfathers. But it does help a lot. Like Sharon mentioned, right? Last thing kills me. Anyway, it does benefit for getting the medical field out there in time because without it, we wouldn't have saved lives. If I said to say back in when COVID pandemic came around the corner, the medical fields in technology like that, it helps so much lives and preventing so many casualties. If without it, we wouldn't have time to be ensuring our technology without it. Sure, I can understand opium is a problem for us for like looking for ourselves, for example, our glasses. We need glasses to see. But if we didn't have technology, where we get our glasses? We'd be caveman at this point looking for something or
Yeah, it might be good in helping solving these conditions, but it may also be the cause of these conditions. For example, excessive use of screens right before going to bed can lead to a disruption in sleep patterns. The blue light alters their circadian rhythm, which takes away from the time you spend in deep sleep, and that could lead to diabetes, cancer, obesity, lack of energy, lack of motivation, depression. It could lead to all these things just because you're using your phone, and that the act of using the phone, the light it produces, actually takes away from your sleep, which we all need to function properly for our bodies to stay healthy. Um, it reduces the production of melatonin, which is what allows us to enter these sleep cycles. And even Harvard Medical School advises that you should cut screen time 2 to 3 hours before bed, just because it's that bad for you.
Understandably, yes, I would agree to that point. But we wouldn't get into these type of information or in historic diseases or pandemic that we wouldn't have to understand. Sure, in time we may fail and error, trial and errors for every medical field, but I will lead to the third evidence why. For information, like the person I'm going to mention the first is Sasha Malkovich. She got her evidence based by was published in March 15, 2023. Her information specifically say that with the rapid pace in innovation, technology, and information, the historical data does give us the insight that could benefit for everyone's sakes. For if you didn't know this person's information or their disease in the past or their previous lives, it does help a lot of lives, and also it could be quick than instead of be too late about it. It does benefit the records of heritage or the bounds of race that could help your family. You want to know where they're born, with the dates, where their race, where your disease is. It does help a lot and give the insight of our doctors, but also gives some the people in their surroundings that this information is quick. You get this quickly done. You don't have to worry about searching by file by file by file. Which looking the internet, looking the technology is given to you, it's beneficial for everyone's sake.
Yeah, it is beneficial, but should there be limitations on the amount of information that's given out to people, or the amount of use that you have with this technology? For example, if you're telling a child a story, um, they could either watch a video on an iPad, or they could get told the story by someone else. So the iPad takes away all the creativity and attentiveness that they have to hold. So they're losing that attention and being able to listen to a person talking, and they're also being less creative because they're not imagining the scenarios. They're just being given everything. So that's detrimental to the development of the frontal lobe, which could be stunted. And the frontal lobe is what deals with social interactions and empathy. So you're seeing these kids that grow up with technology, but when they get out into the world and they start interacting with people, they've lost their social skills. They don't know how to interact in situations, and this could lead to bullying, depression, isolation, many things, as well as sensory overload, because it's too much information being handed to these kids at once. It just causes anxiety and all types of problems. So, after all these points you've made, and I guess technology really is a double-edged sword. It depends. There's good sides and bad sides to it. All depends on how you take it, how you use it. Everything's bad in excess.
Pretty
So
much bad. It could be bad for your side where you say it, but for people like me and you, for including you, every great technology is beneficial. It helps a lot of life, but it tends to be, like you said, a double-edged blade.
okay, so that leaves a question for the viewers at home. After hearing us today, what do you guys think?
Do you think it's
It,
beneficial?
or is it slowly killing us all?
Which I'm pretty much thinking it will happen anyway.
So catch us on the next episode of the Two Bean Podcast.